Around the nation, TYT Nation, Jeff Waller here with you. Welcome to the show. Oh my God, what's going on here? Yeah, I'm just kind of in the middle of battling intergalactic bad guys that happen to be named Trump. But nonetheless, we got a great show for you guys today. Welcome to it. Um, okay. Fun times. All right, so hey, we got a great show for you guys today. Uh, we are going to talk about Donald Trump and his marriage. Sorry. Donald Trump and his marriage. Um, Fun times. We also have quid pro quo. We'll talk about that. That's fun. So that's, of course, all related to the impeachment. We also have, let's see, uh, a Trump nominee literally breaks down in tears. It's fun. Breaking down in tears. And of course, we also have a lot more stuff. We got Donald Trump so worried about impeachment that he's literally trying to bribe members of Congress. I'm not kidding. Fun times. And then, of course, you have Donald Trump Jr. being incredibly stupid and saying really, really dumb things. So fun. We got a lot of stuff. Okay. So now, like I said, happy Halloween, everybody. Okay, so I kind of went a little all out as I've been doing for the last couple of years. I remember last year went as Starfleet. So this time, a little Star Wars. Fun. So that's what we do here on the show. Have a little bit of fun. We cover some serious stories, of course, and all that. So, all right. I'm not used to wearing robes, though. It's a little strange. It's almost kind of like a bathrobe, though, when you think about it. Really, really comfortable. So, not bad. All right. Well, hope everybody's having a great Halloween as well. And has a safe and happy one. People who've got kids and that do trick or treating. Just be cautious, be careful, all that wonderful stuff. All right. So, with that, let's actually get into some of the news here. Let's get that robe off there. It's a little warm. All right. Let's get into the show. All right. Fun. All right. Now, President Trump just gave Republican fundraisers some possible insight into his marriage. Okay, well, that's a little bit of fun. According to Politico, he was at a House Republican fundraiser, and he was having a conversation with Steve Scalise as well as other Republicans. And again, he said something utterly ridiculous. During the discussion, like I said, with Scalise, he kept remarking about how. All right. So during a discussion about Representative Steve Scalise getting shot, he kept remarking how tough he was. Oh, you're so tough, man. You're so tough after you got shot. Okay, that's fair enough. Hey, look, I've never gotten shot before, so I don't know how tough I would actually be. All right. Now, Scalise, of course, was shot by a deranged person during softball practice back in 2017. This was a supposed Bernie Sanders supporter. Ridiculous. Bernie Sanders supporters, people who actually believe in Bernie Sanders and his message, and who was actually progressive, don't go around shooting people. Let's just say that. So the guy needed obvious mental help. And ironically, of course, Senator Sanders and his Medicare for All plan would actually help people get the help that they need. So now, anyway, Trump was praising him for being tough and all, and he recalled visiting him in the hospital. Okay. So now when he was visiting, Trump had ran into, of course, Scalise's wife, whom he remarked or recalled her saying, or I'm sorry, recalled her crying her eyes out when he met her at the hospital that faithful day. As you would, of course, expect any wife to do, right? Well, not according to Donald Trump, who says, hey, look, my wife wouldn't do that. The president said, quote, I mean, not many wives would react that way to tragedy. I know mine wouldn't. That he's got to be joking, right? I hope so. Because I don't know, man. Please tell me he's messing around. Somebody get some confirmation. Go on Twitter, something like that. So like, I was just kidding about that, right? No, my wife's perfectly lovely. She would totally bawl her eyes out if I got shot. I mean, it's a weird thing to talk about, but also it's weird to say not many wives would react that way to a tragedy. Look, I don't know. That's why it's super weird that he's saying that. I mean, of course most wives would react that way if somebody got shot, if their husband got shot. Oh my God, mine would flip out. But you never know, like I said, with Donald Trump, right? I mean, and again, look, I hate getting into people's personal lives. I don't really like that. It's a little uncomfortable for me to do so, but nonetheless, we've seen a lot of stuff about Donald Trump and Melania's marriage that is a little, I don't know. It makes me think it screams fake marriage. Look, that's just what it says to me. Maybe you guys come out with a completely different point of view. I don't know. But look, the proof I got to point to is how many times the president has been publicly rebuffed by his wife. So, in fact, this is one of them. Watch. That's super weird, right? Just slap, and that's not the only time. This has happened several times where he'll go to reach for her hand, he'll hold her hand, right, and she'll slap it away. Look, I don't know. So, look, is this a joke? Maybe it isn't. If not, there's some seriously strange relationship problems going on in that relationship. Weird. Okay. All right, so let's go to quick book roll. It's like falling apart. All right. Hey, it's Halloween, guys. Having some fun. All right. So now we have more corroborating evidence against Donald Trump when it comes to the Ukraine call. So over the last course of the week, we've had testimony after testimony from Trump officials going in and talking, of course, to the House impeachment panel, talking to these investigators, and every one of them continues to corroborate the story that President Trump had put pressure on the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky in order to do, of course, political investigations in nature, of Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and of course, some secret server where Hillary has supposedly 33,000 emails or something like that. Ridiculous, right? So now we have another one. And this time it's Tim Morrison. Now, Tim Morrison is a top Russia and Europe advisor on the President Trump's National Security Council. So already we've had a bunch of people from the National Security Council go in and testify that they had either witnessed or heard the call or secondhand witnesses to the call, or of course, like I said, heard the call and was and already reported that call, like Colonel Vindman. So now it's being reported that Morrison is there to corroborate the testimony of senior U.S. diplomat William Taylor. That is the ambassador. So now he is expected to tell impeachment investigators that the account offered by William Taylor is accurate. Okay. Particularly that Morrison alerted him to the president and his deputies' push to withhold security aid in a meeting with the Ukrainian president until Ukraine announced an investigation of the Bidens and 2016 election interference. So that's really, really important. William Taylor, if you can remember, in these text messages with Gordon Sondland, said basically that it was crazy to withhold aid to Ukraine for political purposes. And so that's what this is, right? And so this guy's saying, yes, I corroborate his statements. This is exactly what happened. Now, the thing about that is that it directly contradicts, of course, the Republican line and, of course, the line with the president. And so there was pressure. It proves there was pressure. There was an attempt at quid pro quo, or really what we should call extortion, because that's what it is. Now, at the same time, Morrison will also say that he did not necessarily view the president's demands as improper or illegal, but rather problematic for U.S. policy in supporting an ally in the region, which of course would be Ukraine. So, look, that actually matches up with Vindman's testimony. Colonel Vindman, of course, said that, hey, look, if we withhold that aid, that's going to damage our national security interests in that region. So these are the national security guys. And of course, part of their job is looking out for the U.S. national interest. And it is an interest to keep Ukraine as an ally to prevent more Russian aggression or Russian expansion of their sphere of influence. So that's one of the U.S.'s basically stated policy goals in that area. And in some in some areas, of course, Russia is a geopolitical foe. In other places or in other contexts, Russia, we work together with Russia. We have deals with Russia. But at least in this case, when it comes to Ukraine, they are a geopolitical foe. And so that is why we are protecting Ukraine. That's why we're sending security assistance to the Ukrainians so they can defend themselves against Russian aggression. And so Donald Trump holding up that security aid obviously imperils our goals, the U.S. goals, as well as Ukraine in that area. And so that had all these national security guys be incredibly concerned, like, hey, wait a minute, what are we doing? Wait, we're messing it up. Why are we messing this up? Oh, an investigation into Joe Biden, an investigation into Burisma, which is what Vladimir Zelensky had actually said verbatim. Oh, Burisma. Right. That's the gas company. That's the company that you want me to look into and to make a public statement. And that's very important. The public statement on doing an investigation into the Bidens and Burisma. Of course, Donald Trump could then point to that and say, oh, look, my political opponent just happens to be under investigation for corruption. Look at me. I must be the better option. Vote for me. So that's what that is, right? So now Morrison will also corroborate that he spoke with William Taylor, the acting ambassador to Ukraine, at least twice in September. Now, that first conversation was to alert him that the U.S. ambassador to the European Union, that's Gordon Sondland, who may be getting in trouble for possibly perjury, since his story was a little bit different, had told the Ukrainians that no U.S. aid would be forthcoming until they announced that investigation into Burisma. Morrison is also expected to tell lawmakers that he spoke with Taylor again on September 7th to share what he called a sinking feeling about a worrisome conversation between Trump and Sondland. So that's something that we didn't know, or at least that I didn't know either. That was going on. Now, what was that conversation? Now, Morrison is going to say that during that conversation, Trump said he was not seeking quid pro quo, but went on to insist that Ukrainian President Zelensky had to publicly announce that he was opening investigations of Biden and 2016 election interference. So, of course, that's Donald Trump saying, I wasn't seeking quid pro quo. I'm just not going to give you the aid until you actually start the investigation into Joe Biden and the Burisma and the secret server I know you guys have. Really? Well, how is that not extortion? How is that not quid pro quo? I love how he's like, if I don't use the words quid pro quo, then it's not actually quid pro quo. Really? Really? You think that's going to work? I bet that's why he's like, perfect call. It was a perfect call because I didn't actually say quid pro quo. Okay. Now, anyway, so now one of the main Republican defenses of this, of course, or I should say against this, is that many of the accounts from U.S. officials describing quid pro quo or extortion are secondhand. Oh, we can't believe that they're secondhand accounts. Well, no, we have people who have firsthand accounts. Again, Vinland literally listened to the call, tried to make changes to it after they had took certain words and phrases out. So that's very important. The White House took words and phrases out of the transcript. He's like, no, I'm going to try to put them back. He went to his superiors. The superiors said, no, we're not going to put them back. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to hide the original transcript in a secret server. It will never see the light of day. And what we're going to do is we're going to release a memo that just takes out these specific things. Right. Now, what's also interesting and goes against that is the fact that Taylor had mentioned Morrison's name about 15 times in the arresting 15-page opening statement of his congressional testimony. You know what that means? Morrison was deeply involved in U.S. policy in Ukraine. And so, not secondhand knowledge, very firsthand knowledge. Now, Trump, according to the U.S. envoy, made Ukraine aid contingent on the public pledge to investigate the Bidens and the 2016 election. And Taylor had testified that Morrison told him that Trump didn't want to provide any assistance at all to Ukraine. Any. Oh, no, so we're not going to do it at all. Well, obviously you can't do that because Congress had already passed that. When Congress passes something, it's up to the president, the executive branch, to execute it. And so Donald Trump said, no, I don't care about the laws. I don't care about any of this. No, what we're going to do here is we're going to disregard that and hold up that money. Because, I'm going to have to give you that money anyway at some point. But at least I'm going to hold it up until I get something that I want in return. I don't want to give the money in the first place. Now, I'm kind of curious as to why he wouldn't want to give the money in the first place. Oh, right. It's because Ukraine is currently opposed to Russia. Again, Donald Trump, I believe, has business ties in Russia. And the Trump organization got a lot of money from Russia. So, look, U.S. Donald Trump Jr., he had said in an interview, yeah, we get a lot of money. We get all our money from Russia. They must really like golf. I'm sure that's exactly what they like. Yes. And look, this isn't the only time President Trump has been deferential to Russia. According to testimony from another official on the NSC, Trump had blocked the condemnation of Russia after they had seized a Ukrainian ship and sailor and a group of sailors. These are military vessels in the Sea of Azov. So the State Department had written that out. They had that condemnation immediately drafted. Trump personally stepped in and said, no, we're not going to condemn the Russians. No. The Russians can do whatever they want in the Sea of Azov. That's not our problem. We're not going to do that, and I'm certainly not going to piss off Vlad. No. So, Now, Taylor said this whole thing, especially the not trying to or not wanting to provide any military, but any assistance, monetary assistance to Ukraine at all, he said it was that extremely troubling. Quote, that was extremely troubling to me. If the policy of strong support for Ukraine were to change, I would have to resign. Based on my call with Mr. Morrison, who would relate that message, quote, I was preparing to do so. Yikes. Now, Morrison later notified NSC lawyers about the pressure being exerted on Ukraine, according to Taylor's testimony. So here's what we have. More corroborating testimony. we have witness after witness firsthand saying that without a doubt, there was a pressure campaign on Zelensky and that Trump was trying to do quid pro quo. Now, whether or not he's successful, and Republicans are making this argument as well. I mean, he wasn't successful at doing quid pro quo, so I guess it doesn't count. No, no, no. Just because you fail at doing a crime doesn't mean it's not a crime. Doesn't mean you're weren't attempting to do a crime. That's why you have things like attempted robbery and attempted murder. You tried, you suck, you fail, and you still did the crime. Again, if you plan to shoot somebody and you were too stupid to load the gun correctly, or you end up shooting yourself in the foot, or you end up shooting something else because you missed, because you suck, well, you still technically are guilty of a crime. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Ineptitude or ignorance of the law does not shield or should not shield you from the consequences of the law. At least, again, if you're a normal person. Now, remember, of course, Donald Trump, not a normal person. According to Republicans, Trump is above the law. And so that's a big problem. So now we obviously have to hold him accountable. So now earlier today, Democrats formally did the impeachment process, right? And that's one way to hold the president accountable, or at least to attempt to. The other one, I think the more the way that would actually work, and that has a better shot of success, of course, is to vote him out in 2020. And I know that seems like a long time to wait, but I don't necessarily see impeachment and removal. I do see impeachment, and then I see corrupt Republicans basically saying, we don't care about Donald Trump's corruption because 90% of the Republican base loves Donald Trump and doesn't care at all about his corruption. And so, again, that would be a good way to hold the Republicans on the record for being okay with corruption. But at the same time, you could use that for your own political purposes in order to win elections there. And so the only other way, like I said, is to beat him with a real progressive, somebody like Bernie Sanders, who in every poll matchup since 2016 has crushed Donald Trump. So I think that's the best way to do it. Okay. All right. I'm going to take a quick break here. We'll come back. We've got a hilarious, hilarious video of a Trump nominee literally breaking down during his confirmation hearing. It's awesome. All right. And much, much more. So stay right here. Please like and share the stream. We'll be right back. Around the Nation. Welcome back to the show. Around the nation, right here, TWT Nation. Jeff Waldorf here with you. Got the jacket back. Kept things in place. Okay. Anyway. So, all right. Got super chats, people to thank, of course, members, patrons, etc., etc. So now, let's see. Let's go to super chats first. And I'm going to give a big shout out to Zach Sherman. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, dude. Thank you so much for your support. Hopefully you have a fantastic, awesome birthday. And thank you so much. Love to have you as somebody who supports the show and as viewers. So thank you very much and have a great birthday. Eat some cake. And hopefully that cake is awesome. Okay, anyway. More super chats here. Jedi Mullet 77. Ironic. Especially on today. Given my costume. The Jedi Council has issued a safety recall on lightsabers. Don't worry, my firmware is updated, so no worries. I got it. I got it right here. I think we're good. We're all good. All right. So thank you. All right. And Star Trek says the Democrats just had a vote. Speaking of impeachment, of course, to please the Republicans. Why do they keep doing that? Never ever trust a Republican. You'll get knifed in the back for sure. So yeah, like here's the thing, right? So there's like a long conversation about this, but you have basically Democrats that are too polite, that are too nice. Even Bernie Sanders, who's an excellent fighter, is too nice to Republicans. Now, Republicans will be as vicious as they can get away with. I mean, just nonstop, the worst, the kind of attacks, the worst kind of everything coming from Republicans. And yet, Democrats, oh, if only we could just reach out to Republicans. And look, I hear that all the time from the Democrats. Yeah, but we need to reach out to the right. Do you ever see any Republican saying, you know what we need to do? We need to reach out to Democrats. We need to reach out to the left. If you've ever heard that, I would love to hear that. But I don't think you guys have ever heard that. I know I've never heard that. No. They're not interested in reaching out to us. They're not interested in our votes. They think we're evil. They think we're scum. They think we're the worst of the worst of the worst. And so that's the difference. Liberals, I mean, like they reach out. We reach out too much. And of course, just like when Donald Trump tries to hold Melania's hand, we get swatted away. They're not interested in working with us. That's why I'll go with Cenk Uygur. Because he says this. He says, I don't want to work with Republicans. And I agree with this 100%. I don't want to work with the Republicans. I want to obliterate them. I want to annihilate them. I want to crush them politically. I want to beat them into the ground politically so bad that they're embarrassed. And then, once we're done, we give them health care. We give them a living wage. And then we reach out. That's when we reach out. When we completely embarrass and destroy the Republican Party politically. Hey, at least we're reaching out. But that's the only time that I want to see Democrats reaching out to Republicans. So, like I said, I'm with Cenk on that one. And finally, for Super Chat, Jeanette Lilona says, it's a great day for justice. Let's hope. A couple more comments here. Actus Magos. Let's see. Oh, I lost that. Actually, thing right here. Okay. I lost that comment. I was gonna read that. Trump's a great deal breaker. There's that. I don't know. All right. So yeah, like I said, I lost that, but that's okay. So why don't I just actually no? Here's a comment. Actus Maga says, just think if it wasn't for the Electoral College, Another underhanded BS. Republicans would not have had executive power since 1992. That's a good point. We should definitely get rid of, abolish the Electoral College. Agreed. Okay. Anyway, so now let's get into the rest of the show. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to work with the Republicans. All right. Do a sidebar here. A Trump judicial nominee literally broke down during a Senate judiciary hearing. I want you guys to watch.
Can you speak to that? Did you say that you wouldn't be fair to members of the LGBT community?
Senator, that was the part of the letter. I did not say that. I apologize.
It's all right.
I'm sorry. No, I did not say that. I do not believe that. It is a fundamental belief of mine that all people are created in the image of God. They should all be treated with dignity and respect. Senator.
Can you commit today to this committee that you will treat, if confirmed, that you would treat every litigant who came before you with respect and with dignity?
Absolutely, Senator. I would not have allowed myself to be nominated for this position if I did not think I could do that.
All right, so that was Lawrence J.C. Van Dyke, and he says, "Hey, man, look, I wouldn't name the nomination if I didn't think I could do that." Well, we'll examine his record in a few. But now, so this is him responding, basically, to a review from the American Bar Association, right? And they had some pretty harsh words for this guy. They found that he was like a lot of Trump nominees. In fact, 9 out of all the Trump nominees so far to these judicial positions were found by the ABA to be not qualified. And yet, of course, 4 still actually ended up making it on the courts anyway, which shows you how flawed the confirmation process is. But first, let me go into this this letter, which is just scathing. Now, they said that Mr. Van Dyke's accomplishments are offset by the assessments of interviewees, that Mr. Van Dyke is arrogant, lazy, an ideologue, and lacking in knowledge of the day-to-day practice, including procedural rules. There was a theme that the nominee lacks humility, has a, quote, entitlement temperament, which explains the tears, does not have an open mind, and does not always have a commitment to being candid and truthful. And of course, what the question being asked of Mr. Van Dyke stems from is some people interviewed in the assessment of Van Dyke worried that he would not be, quote, fair to persons who are gay, lesbian, or otherwise part of the LGBTQ community. And this, of course, is because he's a fairly well-known, basically a Christian extremist. That's like really kind of the best way to say it. So now, of course, he gets this scathing letter read to him by the American Bar Association, and he breaks down and pulls essentially a Brett Kavanaugh. Now, you remember Brett Kavanaugh during those hearings? He turned on the waterworks too, and they call women too emotional, right? No, he turns on the waterworks, and look, he's a Supreme Court justice now. He even got Democrats to vote for his confirmation. Democrat, ridiculous, right? No, he pulls a Kavanaugh, and because, again, it works. Now, look, I don't know this guy personally, and he's got a long record of being anti-LGBT, and I'll read that to you. But I don't know him from Adam, right? But I do trust the American Bar Association, even though there is criticism from Republicans and even some Democrats that say, look, they're a little too hard on some of these Trump judicial nominees, right? But anyway, look, again, this is based off his previous work, and I'm not sure if he feels the same way, to be fair, but I think it's very likely that he does. So now let's look at his record, right? So now the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights had detailed that Van Dyke had consistently attacked LGBTQ rights and fought against reproductive freedom for more than a decade. Okay, so now an example of that. He wrote an anti-marriage equality op-ed, which asserted that children on average fare best in stable two-parent families. And this combined with the correlative evidence of the decline of the family unit in Scandinavia, where de facto same-sex marriage has been around for about a decade, does provide ample reason for concern that same-sex marriage will hurt families and consequently children and society. Oh, see, the gays, if you allow them to get married, they will hurt society and they will hurt the children, because children deserve two-parent household. Wait a minute. Gay parents are two people in a household. Instead of a mom and a dad, you have two dads or two moms. But that's a two-parent household, right? Oh, but it's not the kind of two-parent household that you like. So obviously it doesn't count and ends up hurting children. Yeah, okay, ask any child of a same-sex family whether or not they feel robbed by having two dads and two moms, or two moms, instead of a mom and a dad. I don't think it makes any difference. All right, so now, there's more. In 2010, Mr. Van Dyke authored an amicus brief in the case Christian Legal Society versus Martinez, where he argued that college student groups had a First Amendment right to exclude LGBTQ students from membership. Oh, you want to be a member of our group? Sorry, you're gay. Not going to have it. Not going to have it. Okay. More. In his brief, Hollingsworth versus Perry, he defended state bans on marriage equality. His argument, or one of his arguments, is that a state's decision to ratify the sexual union between a man and a woman confirms a deeply significant understanding of human relationships and encourages such unions as the standard for the human family. So he's trying to make a scientific argument, which is laughable, against allowing states to have same-sex marriage. So he's saying, hey, look, I don't think it's natural. Which marriage isn't even a natural institution. It's not in nature. You don't see animals getting married. All right. But no, he argues, no, well, it's natural. And so, look, you can't have the gays get married because it upsets the natural balance of the world. Come on, dude. Ridiculous. And finally, Mr. Van Dyke has represented, given speeches to, and worked for the homophobic Alliance Defending Freedom. Mr. Van Dyke, while working for them, has attacked LGBTQ equality on multiple fronts throughout the past 15 years. So that's just part of his record. But there's a lot more where that came from. So no, 100% fair to say that we don't think that you will represent LGBT folks. And I'm sorry, but those people are Americans and they have civil rights. And they should have the same rights as every single other American. And if you're not going to protect those rights, then you have no place being in the judiciary. None at all. So, and look, I don't care how much you cry, how many crocodile tears you want to sit there and cry, how upset you want to get. Well, you're not a victim here. In reality, you have victimized countless LGBT people. People in the LGBTQ community that all they want is the rights to be themselves and to get married and to love who they want to love in a consensual relationship. Now, this guy gotta go. So he can go and cry his crocodile tears somewhere else because it looks like nobody's buying it. Okay. All right. There's that. So now let's go to more impeachment stuff, which is fun. All right. It appears that President Trump is attempting to buy the loyalty of the Republican Senate. So now that suggests, of course, that Trump is deeply worried about impeachment once it gets to the Senate. So now let me go to a report in Politico that kind of spells this out. It appears that Trump is attempting to regain the full support of the GOP lawmakers in the Senate that are facing tough re-election prospects by showering them with money with campaign contributions. Now, Politico, like I said, wrote that Trump is tapping into his vast fundraising network for a handful of loyal senators facing tough re-election bids in 2020. Each of them has signed on to a Republican-backed resolution condemning the impeachment inquiry as, quote, unprecedented and undemocratic, which is hilarious because impeachment, literally in the Constitution, that is part of democracy. Being able to hold your leaders accountable through votes from elected representatives, 100% democratic. Hilarious. More. In an email to supporters titled Witch Hunt, according to the report, on Wednesday, the Trump re-election campaign set a fundraising appeal to its massive email list, urging donors to provide a contribution that would be divided between the president and several Republican senators, including Cory Gardner, Joni Ernst, Tom Tillis, and of course, by the way, those are the three that are mentioned in the report. And each of those senators just happens to be supporting the anti-impeachment resolution. And they're also, like I said, facing some dire re-election chances. So now, missing here, and this tells you a lot, Suzanne Collins. Suzanne Collins. Now, Politico notes that the new online fundraising drive bypassed Collins, an occasional Trump critic who called on the president to retract his tweet comparing the impeachment investigation to a lynching. Collins also said that Trump made a big mistake in asking China to investigate the Biden family. Trump saw that and said, well, you're not loyal. You're not with me, so I'm not going to give you any money. Sad. Well, hey, look, sad for her, maybe good for us. There's a primary challenger or a progressive challenger in Maine right now. Now's a good time. She's vulnerable. Now, as for the other, along with Arizona Senator Martha McSally, they are facing tough re-election campaigns, and losses could mean control of the Senate could change hands, which would have been, again, disastrous for President Trump and the Republicans. Now, the president, according to the report, is looking to buck up senators coming under mounting pressure and impeachment. Gardner, who's widely seen as the most jeopardized Republican incumbent up for re-election, faced criticism earlier this month after he dodged questions about Donald Trump's conduct. Ernst was confronted at a town hall over her support for the president. This week, a liberal group began a multi-million-dollar advertising campaign pushing both Republican senators to support impeachment. Now, Mike Reed, a Republican National Committee spokesman, begged for cash that brought in six figures, adding that our supporters stand totally behind the president and are eager to support down-ballot candidates who do the same. So what this is basically, here's Trump saying, if you support me on impeachment, I will give you money. If you do not support me in impeachment, well, then you're on your own, dude. I'm not going to support you. I'm not going to vote for you. I'm not going to do anything for you. So and what's interesting about this is that it shows a degree of what what he does to people who are not loyal to him. Now, it's not loyalty to the Republican Party. It's not loyalty to the policies. It's loyalty to President Trump, who clearly committed quid pro quo and, of course, had asked a foreign government to intervene in an election matter. That, of course, is illegal. You can't actually do that. It's a campaign finance violation, emolument, whatever. It is illegal. You can't do that. But like I said, the report noted that the door is open for the president's campaign to add more senators if they, of course, pledge their loyalty. And so that's what we have. We have the president literally buying senators that to support him. That's crazy. So now the reason this matters is because it appears that he seems to be worried. He's worried that the Senate's going to turn on him. Remember, his fate when it comes to impeachment literally rests in the Senate. You only need about 20 Republicans to defect. If they do, he's done. Now, I don't think right now that's going to happen. I think it's very unlikely that you're going to have enough Republicans turn on the president and vote to oust him. So, and the reason, of course, is because you have the Republican Party. 90% of the Republican voters approve of Donald Trump, even though you do have a majority of the country, 51%, saying that not only do we want Trump impeached, but we also want him removed. So these Republican senators, they're fighting for an increasingly small amount of people. And so their base, that's all they got. They don't appeal to independents. They don't appeal to, obviously, progressives or mainstream liberals. And so all they have is the base. The base loves Donald Trump. And so they're not going to turn on Donald Trump until or unless the base actually does. And as I've seen, not going to happen. Very, very unlikely. That said, you think these Republican congressmen actually like Donald Trump? No, of course not. It was noted, according to inside sources, that 35 Republicans, if it were a secret vote, would vote to remove the president because they know he's an idiot. They know he's destroying the country. They know he's essentially destroying the Republican Party. And so they're like, we don't really want to have anything to do with that. But at the same time, look at our voters. If we don't support the president, we are going to lose. Now, it remains to be seen that if you do support the president, if you still lose in some of these races, like I said, some of these senators have very difficult reelection campaigns. Suzanne Collins, Cory Gardner, Joni Ernst, Tom Tillis, and some of them have progressive challengers that could appeal to traditionally even Trump voters or get new progressive voters out there to actually come and vote. So it's a bad situation for some of these congressmen, and generally a bad situation for Donald Trump. And so I'm looking to see what happens here, what happens, of course, during these elections, or even impeachment, and who comes out to really support him. We'll have to see. Okay. All right. One more quick story for you guys, and then we're going to head out. All right. Let me get the video set up here.
Imagine if that was your name was Hunter Biden. Except Hunter's
I
name
wish
was your
my name was Hunter Biden. I could go abroad, make millions off of my father's
Everywhere.
presidency. I'd be a really rich guy. It would be incredible. But because my name is Trump, if I took $1.5 from China, not $1.5 billion like Hunter, but $1.5, their heads would explode.
So that was Donald Trump Jr. being ridiculous. Okay, so again, he's talking to Hannity. He's talking about how, Hunter Biden. Oh, he's taking all this money for sitting on a Ukrainian gas company board. Okay, but here's the thing. both you and Hunter Biden are not actually in office. Now, we call that, of course, systemic corruption, right? Or institutional corruption, where you can get paid for just being the son or daughter or whatever of a famous politician. We see that all the time. In fact, Meghan McCain is a fantastic example. You know who else is also an example? Donald Trump Jr. Yeah. So, look, you want to talk about nepotism? We got Donald Trump Jr. You also got Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. You really want to go there, Don? Really? So now I love this, right? He says, I wish my name was Hunter Biden. I could go abroad and make millions. I'd be a really rich guy. That is very rich, pun intended, because Donald Trump Jr. is worth $200 million. Allegedly. Allegedly. So wait, I could be a really rich guy. What are you talking about? You're already rich. You're part of the top 1%. That's ridiculous. Not only that, but you guys, the family, is making money off Donald Trump's presidency. The Trump Organization has actually seen increased revenues at his different resorts. I mean, let's talk about the one in Ireland. Let's talk about Trump Turnberry making a deal with this airport. This airport basically has a deal with the Trumps that happened pre-election that they would go and funnel U.S. military officials to Trump hotels in that area. That's not corruption? That's not worse than getting paid $50,000 a month in Burisma? I'd say corruption is corruption is corruption. And look, again, like I said, the Trump Organization is making millions of dollars off Donald Trump being president. Foreign dignitaries going to different resorts, staying in Trump hotels. Mar-a-Lago, the fees being doubled from $100,000 annually to $200,000 annually. And of course, you have a bunch of people, foreign dignitaries included, but also U.S. Politicians or lobbyists joining Mar-a-Lago. He's getting money in membership fees. That's, of course, why we have the president divest. But then we're not talking just about President Trump, who, yes, is making money off his businesses, and that's why he should divest, but also Donald Trump Jr. making money off the name. Donald Trump Jr. has also made numerous TV appearances. Again, I showed you a video of him on Sean Hannity. I wonder if he will end up getting some sort of, I don't know, paid speakership or paid spot on Fox News following the Trump presidency. Oh, but that would be making money off his father's name, wouldn't it? Well, that would be very, very wrong because apparently he's 100% against that. Oh, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But here's the thing. Eric does not, Eric and Don Jr., they don't see the difference here. They don't see that what Biden has done. Again, I think that's wrong. I think that's against systemic corruption, like I said, and he shouldn't have sat on that board. But at the same time, we also shouldn't have had Ivanka Trump sitting in these meetings with foreign leaders and getting numerous patents in China. Shouldn't have had that. We shouldn't have had, like I said, Donald Jr. is supposed to be running the Trump Organization in lieu of the president, which we know, at least we can guess that's not true, also meeting with foreign dignitaries and getting special deals. How is that different? Corruption is corruption is corruption. Completely hypocritical. Look, the president should have divested from his business before assuming office. You know why? It's because we probably wouldn't be even talking about this if that were the case. Because again, that is a sort of corruption that people has accepted as normal. And so no, heads wouldn't explode if you got money from China. No, that's your normal corruption. And yes, I would love to do something about that, but he's completely wrong. See, here's the thing. The whole Biden thing is a smokescreen. Let me tell you why. He goes after the Bidens, not only because, again, they're possible political opponents, right? but also to deflect from the fact that he has refused to divest from the companies, and that's Trump himself. And he, of course, tells Donald Trump Jr., go on TV and defend me. Go on TV and go after the Bidens. Now, he should absolutely divest from these companies. There are too many conflicts of interest, especially foreign. But as usual, when it comes to the Trump organization, the Trump family, it's about the money, Lebowski. It's always been about the money. And so I find it comical that Don Jr. can sit there and pretend, oh, no, I'm not corrupt. I'm not making money off my father's name or my father's power. No. I'm just a regular person like you guys. I'm not even that rich. Sit down. You're worth $200 million. You've never had to hustle. You never had to work a day in your life. You never had to work in the factories. You never had to stock shelves or mow lawns to get by. You never had to do any of that. No. Don Jr. is a rich punk, just like his dad. Okay. I think I'm fairly clear. All right, guys. Thank you for going around the nation with me today. Have a happy Halloween. Thank you for the super chats, for the comments. Please subscribe to the channel. Consider becoming a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation, or a channel member. And may the force be with you. Love you guys. Remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We'll see you tomorrow.